Hello and welcome to another Thrifty Author Meetup. I'm your host, Gail C. Martin, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about some social media do's and don'ts for authors, or at least some suggestions of ways to help you broaden your reach and perhaps avoid some pitfalls or speed bumps along the way. Because right now, especially, our contact with readers and the outside world is largely through programs like this with Zoom, social media, what you post in terms of pictures or text or video on sites like Facebook or Instagram. That's how the world knows you. We don't have that additional piece right now of book signings or conventions or book festivals or library events, all of those things that have been additional ways for us to meet readers face to face. Right now, this is pretty much it, through the screen one way or the other. And while there's a lot of tremendous opportunity there, there's also some opportunity as well, some negative opportunity to cause yourself some problems. And I see these kinds of things play out every day, and they're really so avoidable. So I think the first thing, which should go without saying, but then again, I'm on social media a lot, so I know it doesn't, is don't post when you're tired, when you're sick, when you're angry, when you're drunk, or under some influence. Just don't. Walk away. You're not going to be at your best. And while you may fervently believe what you are saying in the moment, you haven't considered it to think about how it's going to land and to think through the nuances, which when your head is more clear, you may come back and go, well, I really didn't mean it in all cases, or, well, I didn't mean it to come off like that, or, well, of course I don't actually mean that. But at that point, cleanup is nearly impossible. And it's next to impossible to truly fix that damage, to walk it back, even if you are really, really sorry and that isn't at all where you meant to take it. It's done. And that's hard to come back from, if not impossible. So just walk away. Think before you post. And that's really kind of the next point, is no matter how clever or how funny it seems in the moment, stop and think. And I see people get into trouble when they are trying to be humorous. They don't really think about that coming at the expense of someone else or some other group. Never punch down. Don't be unkind. Just because you think something is funny, it may not be funny at all to another group. And you really don't want to be a jerk or a dick. So Will Wheaton's law of social media, don't be a dick. Think before you post, and think about whether or not what you're posting has a mean streak, whether or not it perpetuates racism or sexism or homophobia or any of those things that keep people apart. Really doesn't have a purpose here. So think before you post, so that you don't offend people without even knowing that you're doing it. Let's try not to offend anybody. It doesn't mean you can't state your beliefs, but I see an awful lot of people just running their mouths, and it doesn't serve them as an author. It certainly doesn't help humanity as a whole. It alienates people. And I just look at them and go, you do know that people have to actually kind of like you to want to read your stuff. So just be mindful of the message that you're putting out there and think before you post. I think you also need to be able to sort of read the mood of the room. And that's easier in person, where we can pick up some nonverbal clues. When we look at the room and we can tell from looking at people's expressions, are they angry? Are they sad? Are they bored? Are they looking for something new? But it's not impossible to read the room on social media. Look at what's going on, not just in your news feed per se, but look at what's going on in the news and get an idea for what people in general are thinking. Are they sad? Are they afraid? Are they worried? Are they grieving? If so, it makes sense for you to be aware of that and sensitive to that in terms of what you choose to post. Right after a big disaster might be a bad day to post a whole series of jokes. Might be a better day to post comforting pictures or sayings or comments, because that's where people are. I think that if you aren't aware of what's going on in the larger space and what's consuming people's minds, it can be very easy to post something that appears jarring and insensitive. And the fact that you hadn't read the room and didn't really see it in the larger context, again, doesn't save you from the repercussions if people feel like you're being dismissive or insensitive or clueless. So try to read the room and make sure that what you are posting is sensitive to what's going on in the bigger sphere. All of this also comes down to seeing yourself and your books and your author persona as being a brand and not just an individual. As an individual, we have a lot of freedom to do many things. And as long as it doesn't get you fired or thrown out of the house, as an individual, you have those opportunities. As a brand, it goes beyond just what you and your 10 best friends agree on, because you're talking to a much larger audience and you have to think bigger. You have to think strategically. You have to think about what kinds of things you post and whether or not they reflect well on your book, whether or not they amplify your book, or whether or not they take away from your author credibility and the desirability of your books. And, you know, I would love to just say, don't be a bad human being. I really hope that we can get to that point. But I think be mindful that you are on when you are on social media in the same way that you are on and working as a professional when you are on a panel at a convention or behind the desk at a book signing. You aren't just you. You are your author brand, you are your books. And just like hopefully you put your best self on when you're at work, same sort of thing. Be your best self and realize that everything that you post should somehow sort of string together. That doesn't mean don't be honest, but it does mean be your best honest, be your most professional, and think about what you post so that it amplifies your book. So for example, I post pictures of the locations where my books are set so that people who've never been there have a little more of a real-time feel for it. I may post snippets about history or interesting things that have been pulled in as background or legend or lore. Folks who follow me know that they're going to get a lot of pretty landscapes and uplifting quotes and funny animal pictures. And I'll throw in some stuff about books and maybe a few more serious thinky thoughts, but that's going to be pretty much my brand. So think about your overall communication online as a brand and not just a loose cannon on whatever you're feeling at the day. Because in the end, everything reflects on your books. And so you want to use your social media presence to put your best self forward, to put your books forward, and to really create and nurture and deepen your bond with your existing readers and to attract new readers. And you do that by putting your best professional self forward. So that's been our Thrifty Author Moment for today. I'm Gail Z. Martin. You can find me online at gailzmartin.com. And in the credits, you can also see where to find both Continual and the Thrifty Author Meetup. I'll see you again soon. Thanks.